I used to take myself out on dates, open my own damn doors, pay for everything on my plate. Sometimes I even...
Hey loves, happy holidays. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be showing y'all my everyday routine for the winter. So let's get started. So I'm going to prime my face with a little bit of Pretty Fresh Settings Mist. And y'all know by now I like to do my eyes before my foundation. So I'm going with that P. Louise Everyday Base in a number 5 to help neutralize my lids. Now for the eyes, this is just showing you a real quick everyday eye I pretty much do when I have no time. Taking the Black Radiance contour kit, did it all over the eye, just taking the bronzer all over the lid and just deepening that up with the contour shade. To line the eyes, I just use a basic Essence brown liner. Nothing real simple, so you can smudge it out like you can see here. Now just throwing on some lashes. These are House of Lashes in Juliet Balm. Now, for the key for these dry times, y'all, you need this hyaluronic acid primer. It smells so good. Beyond just the face, your lips need to be hydrated. So I like the Laneige, but it ran out. So I like this Mamone, I don't know how to pronounce it, lip sleeping mask. It's literally the same thing, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper, and it's so good. Now, in that same line from Colourpop, I like the Pretty Fresh line. Again, has a bunch of hyaluronic acid to keep you hydrated without using any oil. Just a little couple sprays of that and you're pretty much ready to go. Face is nice and tacky and ready for the actual foundation. But if you're like me and get slightly oily in that T-zone, I like to take the Fit Me Poreless, I think it's their Poreless setting powder, and I just like to put it in my T-zone just around the nose where I do produce a little bit of oil and like some separation throughout the day. But to be honest, you don't need it. But again, if you produce oil, it's a great step. Now taking the Born to Glow foundation from NYX. Now I raved over this in my past video about my top foundations for the fall and winter. Go check that out. Bunch of drugstore great alternatives and dupes, but it has great coverage. It literally has a natural iridescence to it. It looks like skin, as you can see here. It doesn't look like it's too cakey. It doesn't feel cakey. It doesn't seep into fine lines. And if you have any hyperpigmentation, it has great coverage. And I honestly do, you can use a sponge, you can use a brush, whatever you like, but this is everyday for me, so I just like to take a good old sponge to it. And see how good this looks? It's just so iridescent, so lifelike. Girl, it's everything. Now, taking this Milani Concealer, y'all, this is probably the best drugstore concealer. Aside from the Pretty Fresh line, they pretty much go hand in hand, as you'll see later. This is so good. I even wear this by itself. It's like a creamy gel consistency, but it has great coverage. And I'm so upset that I'm just now getting hip to this. Where have I been? I've been asleep. But it is so good. It's the color for me. Because if you're a fawn fan from LA Girl, this is going to be your next best thing. And it has even more coverage, in my opinion, than the LA Girl. And it's a lot more comfortable because it's not as mattifying. And to brighten it up just a little bit, I like to take the Pretty Fresh concealer as well. It's just a tad lighter than that, just in the inner center of the eye, just to give me a little bit of brightness. Nothing too crazy. But it also has great coverage. I also have a deeper shade in this. It's just pretty much like my foundation shade. Whenever I don't want to wear a lot of foundation, I just want to wear it to run errands. It's beautiful. It blends like butter. It has great coverage, but it's so affordable. And again, for those who are more dry right now, this is going to be your best friend. And I don't know about you, but this is the most satisfying part of a foundation routine for me, or just a routine in general, is watching someone blend out their concealer. It is so satisfying to me, but I felt like I wanted to keep this in real time so you can see how long it takes me usually to blend out my concealer. But as you can see, I pretty much focus more or less on the outer rim of where I place the concealer, and that actual underneath my eyes, like the actual pocket there, I only tap it in a few times just to blend it in, but I don't overdo it so I can keep the coverage. Now taking this Makeup Revolution setting powder in the shade Chocolate Banana with this Real Techniques powder sponge. Literally the best thing I've ever could have bought, period. It applies all your powders without skipping. It doesn't crease, like I can't explain it. It literally blends everything seamlessly, and you just press it in. It doesn't move. It's the best thing you could have bought, and definitely when you use it, it needs to be damp, just like your regular beauty blender. But I heard some good stories about applying your foundation with it. Never tried it. I want to one day experiment with it, but to be honest, like powder, I can't go back ever. Now the key to a great nose contour is to allow that concealer to dry, and that's essentially what we just did, finishing the full face. I'm just taking my concealer brush. I cannot think of what brush this is. I will leave a link down below, but I'm just blending it out. I use the same brush for my brows, but as you can see, it's very precise, just where we put it, and you see how sharp it is on the nose without being too harsh. I love that. But literally the key is just something simple, using the same products that you use, but again, just leaving that concealer on just a little bit longer. And of course, you need to blend it out with your sponge. Use exactly the same sponge I used for the foundation, and it just blends out all those harsh lines. And taking some more of that Fit Me powder, and I'm pressing very lightly along the face just to set everything. Now, if you're excessively dry, I wouldn't recommend this step, but a very, very small dusting is all you need. And even though I'm using a sponge, I'm gathered a very small amount. And like I told you before, it gathers the powder beautifully without it sticking or being patchy or anything. Now, taking that same exact palette I used on the eyes, we're going to use it on the face. It makes it super simple in the day. Just use one palette and you go. But again, you've seen this in majority, 9 times out of 10 of my tutorials, but it's just one of my go-to products. It's great warmth, not too red, and gives you just a great amount of structure to the face. Taking that exact same brush that we used for the eyes, this is what makes it so handy, y'all. You literally can just go around where we say for that nose contour and define it even more. Literally with the same exact brush we used for the eyes, and you can connect it over with the shadow to make it a lot more structured. Jackie Aina taught me this trick. Connecting it to your eyeshadow looks so good, or at least to your brows almost, dang it. But you see, and it doesn't look harsh. It looks very effortless. Because essentially it kind of was. And I also like to bring it underneath the nose just for a little emphasis. That's all. Taking the sponge one more time and blend it out, that powder, again with the same exact sponge. Now to chisel my cheeks out a little bit, you don't have to do this part, but I just like it for my face shape. I like to emphasize my jaw. Just gives me more shape to the face because I have a pretty round of a face. And to bring it together, I like to use the Juvias Place Towel, I believe the shade is, in her blush palette. It's so pretty. It literally just gives you an essence of a hue of a glow, just a little bit of color. And of course, her highlight, Nefertiti, is everything. And be very sparing with this, super sparing, because it can be a lot, as you can see. But it's so good. It just looks like skin. It's very sheen-like. And I know I'm gonna get some questions about what I'm doing here. I'm literally emphasizing my Cupid's bow and lining my lips with that liner. It just makes your lips look a lot more defined without the use of liner, even though I'm still gonna use it. which this particular shade is Vibes from Morphe. So good. These are $4. You can't beat it. It's literally cork, but for a fraction of the price. In my lips, as you can see before, I put on a lip mask and it still glides like butter. You still just, because I know for me, I know NYX or some other liners, sometimes it's kind of hard for them to glide on top of gloss. But this one does it with ease. Don't know how to do it. And taking the Maddison Bare lip gloss, I cannot forget if this was Venus or Mars. I want to say it's Mars, but I'll definitely link it below. But it's the perfect nude combination. She did that. The whole entire collection is bomb, but definitely these lips, honey, they're giving. Now to set it all in place, taking the Morphe setting spray, bomb, best in the land. I want to try the mattifying, the dewy luminous one, but I don't have it. I should, but this will do because it's bomb. It's fire. Look at that, effortless. Sorry y'all, my camera died, but yeah, I'll see you on the next one.